This short video, I'll just continue my series of talking about 5-star weapons and comparing them to the other available weapons of the same class. So today we're going to be talking about the Amos Bow, which is on the current banner for Kokumi and Ganyu and Dori. Here. Yeah. So we'll just quickly talk about the Amos Bow. I do have it already. I actually have 2 copies for those of you who have been following me for a while. So I'll just have it on the screen. Obviously, this is going to be Ganyu's best weapon, but the purpose of this series of discussions is not necessarily to only talk about the character that it's meant for. It's also to talk about if it's worth pulling for to use on another character, perhaps. So the Amos Bow is a standard weapon that's available on the standard weapon banner. And it's also available when you lose the 50/50 on the weapon banner, and you don't get either of the featured ones. You get one of the off-banner ones, which will be one of these standard ones. So I personally have 2 copies of these, and I didn't refine them because I got them at different times. Obviously, I got one for Ganyu kind of early, but not like right away. I didn't do it on a rate-up banner. I did it on standard banners or losing 50/50 on other featured weapon banners. That's how I got them. So the second one came way later. That's why I didn't bother refining it, because at the time I did give it to other characters temporarily. As you can see on the screen now, I have all the other bows for the other characters, so I don't need it anymore. I was working on Tighnari, and I was going to give it to him because it would work well for his kit too. However, in the end, I ended up giving him the Viridescent Hunt, as you may recall from my Tighnari review video, which I posted earlier this week or last week. So, back to Amos Bow specifically. So Amos Bow is most comparable to the Hunter's Path, which is Tighnari's signature weapon. So for those of you who got a copy of, let's just pretend that maybe you didn't get Tighnari, but you somehow got the Hunter's Path and you got Ganyu, then it would work really well on her, and actually it will be better and stronger than the Amos Bow because there is some power creeping. I don't personally have the Hunter's Path. I did throw a few wishes there, didn't get it, and I was okay with that because, again, my goal was to give Tighnari the Amos Bow, which is obviously already built here and no one's using it. And then I also built the Viridescent Hunt, so I gave that to him instead, and it works out well. Okay, and then speaking of the Viridescent Hunt, now this is a great weapon choice for Ganyu as well, because as you can see in the passive, it also affects the charge attack bonus. But I will say this is a Battle Pass weapon, so you do have to buy the Battle Pass in order to get this weapon. So it's not for everyone, especially free-to-play players. So just keep that in mind. And then if we want to talk about free-to-play craftables, then the hamayumi would be the perfect option. This is like a mini craftable version of an Amos Bow. And as you can see, it's also, attack substat, right? Just obviously a little bit lower because it's a 4-star. And it also is a normal charge attack bonus for the passive. So this is a great option for Ganyu. So you don't necessarily need to give her the Amos Bow. Unless you really want to kit her out, then do so. So really, those were the main weapons to compare with. Other 5-star weapons don't really work for Ganyu specifically, but we're not specifically talking about Ganyu. We're talking about the bow, right? So I would just say this bow would work, Amos Bow would work well on, of course, Ganyu. It would work well on Tighnari. It would work well on maybe Kujou Sara if you end up using her for her charge shots to do her like little electro buff thing. Right? Maybe even if you're early game and somehow you got a copy of this and you just started and you only have access to Amber right now. Amber is basically like a 4-star version of Ganyu in a cheaper sense, like a very free-to-play sense, okay? She's definitely not as strong with multipliers or anything like that like Ganyu, but the idea of the gameplay is very similar because she does do lots of charge attacks shots as well. Another weapon that is comparable is technically the prototype Crescent, which I don't own because it requires you to do charge attacks or aim shots at weak points, and not every enemy has a weak point, and I'm not good at aiming, so I never ever crafted that bow, so I don't have it. Yeah, and then in terms of 5-star bows, if you were talking about Ganyu or Tighnari, because mainly Amos Bow is for them, so other alternatives, so the Thundering Pulse is a skip for those characters because this is more for normal attacks. The Aqua Simulacra actually would work well for either character, and technically all the bow characters, because it's a straightforward HP bonus with crit damage substat, and then your damage is also, affected by that extra passive bonus there as well. Polar Star is kind of a niche weapon because it was only introduced, I think, one time, maybe twice, I don't know. And this is a great weapon too for charge attacks. However, in order to get the max stacks for this one, you do need to perform 1 normal attack, 1 charge attack, 1 elemental skill, and 1 elemental burst. So not every bow character will do that. That's why it's Child's best weapon, and it would also work well possibly for Tighnari, some people say. I don't know that it's perfect for Ganyu. It could work, but it could be a little bit clunky for some of these other characters that are more strictly for focusing on the charge shots, because as you know, Child Tartaglia doesn't really do charge shots. He's more for like his elemental skill is part of him infusing his water blades, right? And his burst obviously is just either shooting in the air or doing the swipe on the 360. So, that's and then his normal attacks are part of his infused water blades as well. So there's a little bit of a difference there. The elegy for the end is the best 5-star support bow right now, and this is comparable if you want to make your Ganyu or your Tighnari more of a support character, or sub DPS, support DPS. Now moving on to the limited series events, limited series weapon events that happen here and there. This Inazuma one, Moen's Moon, is really just for the burst, so it's not necessarily suitable for, Ganyu or Tighnari, unless you are like me, where for Tighnari, I use him more for his burst, and less so for his charge shots. I actually don't do his charge shots at all. Sometimes I do when I remember, and sometimes I don't. I just do it for his skill and his burst. So I'm more using him that way, and I did talk about that in my Tighnari review video. Some other character bows, or event bows, that were available for older players like myself. Wind Bloom Ode, this is from 1.4. This is another support-based bow. As you can see, I do have it on Amber, and this would work well on either Tighnari or Ganyu if no one else is using it, and if you have nothing better for them. Similarly, Fading Twilight is a similar story. The Rust is not recommended for either of them, so it's just not comparable in that same way, right? And then Sacrificial is also another one if you focus more on the skill, because you want to proc it twice. And then Favonius is just good all around for everybody. It's placeholder, right? I would skip the compound bow for those characters, but I will say if you're early game and you're free to play, this is okay. Although the physical damage bonus doesn't do much for either of them, but it's something extra because the charge attack bonus is applicable to them at least. And then the Stringless is also another support bow, especially if you're doing elemental skills and burst. I put it on Kale, as I talked about in my Kale review. This would work well for the way that I play with Tighnari. It works well for him too, but I figured I'd give him the one with crit rate and give her this one. No one's using these weapons right now, so it worked out well for me. I don't currently have the King Squire, but the King Squire could be okay as a support bow option. And the end of the line, I did get it to R5. I'm still leveling up. I don't have the weapon items yet. But this is a great support bow as well. But back to conclude this and wrap this up, Amos Bow is most directly comparable to the Hunter's Path, which is on Tighnari's banner, and it is also comparable technically to the Compound Bow, as we found out, to the Prototype Crescent, to the Hamayumi, and it could do well with other options as well. But then specifically for charge attacks, those are the ones. Maybe Polar Star if you happen to have an extra one, sure. And then even like the Viridescent Hunt, if you're willing to pay for this, then that's okay too. But otherwise, if you want to use support bows, there's tons in the game now. So, you don't need to pull for the Amos Bow. And my recommendation is it's a skip, because it is available on the standard weapon banner. And like myself, you might be lucky enough to just get it, or unlucky, I don't know, by losing the standard losing the featured weapon banner in the future and just getting it, So either how you want to take it, right, So anyway, I will leave it there. Stay tuned for my next video where I'll be talking about Kokomi's Everlasting Moonglow compared to other Catalyst weapons in the game. And I will see you guys in other videos. So stay tuned for more from me. And thanks so much.